Companies are spending billions on AI. We're talking about a flood of venture capital that reached over $100 billion in 2024. Projections from firms like Goldman Sachs estimate that VC investments in AI could reach nearly $200 billion by the end of 2025. Everyone, from tech giants to tiny startups, is rushing to get a piece of the pie. But what if I told you that a major study from MIT just found that 95% of corporate AI projects are failing to deliver a measurable ROI? This isn't just about a few failed demos. This is a fundamental contradiction at the heart of the AI revolution. On one side, you have the financial frenzy, with companies like OpenAI reaching valuations of over $500 billion. On the other side, you have the sobering, on-the-ground reality. Billions spent, with almost no tangible return. It's a disconnect so profound it's being called the AI productivity paradox. So, is this a real technological revolution, or the next tech bubble waiting to burst? We're going to break down the cold, hard data, looking at both the promise and the pitfalls, to give you a definitive answer. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the AI market is a paradox, and more importantly, how you can avoid the biggest pitfalls and actually get value from it. First, let's talk about the money. Because if this is a bubble, the first indicator is an unjustified flood of capital, and the data is undeniable. Global corporate generative AI spending surged to $13.8 billion in 2024, a six-fold increase in just 1 year. Gartner even projects total generative AI spending to hit a staggering $644 billion in 2025. This isn't just a simple expansion of the tech sector. This capital is actively cannibalizing other markets. Venture capital firms are spurning traditional enterprise software to focus almost exclusively on AI startups. In the first half of 2025 alone, AI startups raised over $44 billion. We are in a full-blown financial frenzy. The most striking example is OpenAI. From a nonprofit in 2015, its valuation skyrocketed to over $157 billion by October 2024, grew to $300 billion in March 2025, and is reportedly in talks for a secondary share sale that would value it at $500 billion in late summer 2025. This rapid growth is fueled by an ambitious vision. As Sam Altman recently stated, you should expect OpenAI to spend trillions of dollars on data center construction in the not very distant future. This is the kind of narrative and speculation that analysts are using to project a potential $1.3 trillion industry over the next decade. This brings us to the core tension. The money is there, the hype is real, but where are the results? This is the part that will either make you angry or make you feel validated. The hard data from the field paints a very different picture. The new MIT NANDA report, The Gen AI Divide, reveals a sobering reality. 95% of corporate generative AI pilots are failing to deliver measurable financial returns or productivity gains. This isn't a fluke. A Gartner survey found that only 34% of teams using Gen AI reported high productivity gains. Another found that less than 30% of CEOs were satisfied with the ROI from their AI investments. The problem isn't just about a lack of success, it's about outright failure. Anywhere from 70% to 85% of Gen AI deployments are not meeting their desired ROI. The most famous example is Klarna. They publicly boasted about replacing 700 employees with an AI assistant. But what happened next? Service quality plummeted, and they were forced to rehire human staff. Klarna's CEO admitted that relying too heavily on automation led to lower quality customer experiences. This is not an isolated incident. Other companies like McDonald's and the Indian e-commerce platform Dukan have had similar setbacks. These failures prove that for all the hype, AI isn't a magic bullet for replacing human labor. This is where the paradox gets interesting. How can 95% of projects be failing while at the same time we're seeing compelling evidence of massive productivity gains? The answer lies in the nuance. While large-scale, enterprise-wide deployments are failing, individual and team-level productivity is absolutely soaring. A study from the St. Louis Fed found that workers are, on average, 33% more productive in each hour they use Gen AI. Another study on customer support agents found a 14% average productivity boost, with a staggering 34% gain for low-skilled workers. For software developers, using tools like GitHub Copilot resulted in a 13% to 22% increase in completed pull requests. This is the AI productivity paradox in action. The gains are real, but they're not showing up in the big corporate P&Ls yet. Why? Because they're happening at the individual level in informal shadow AI usage. Employees are using the tools on their own to get things done faster, but companies haven't yet done the hard, strategic work of redesigning entire workflows to capture that value at scale. This is the time lag problem flagged by macro studies from the OECD and IMF. And that's the paradox. Micro productivity spikes inside teams, but macro ROI collapses at the P&L level. If you've ever wondered why 95% of pilots never make it past the demo stage, this is why. And this is the part most leaders don't want to admit. It's not that AI doesn't work, it's that most companies sabotage themselves before the tools ever get a fair shot. First, no business target. Most pilots launch with hype as the goal. We need to be seen using AI. But if you don't set a measurable business objective, like cutting billing cycles by 20% or saving $2 million in rework, then you've guaranteed failure before you even start. That's why executives burn millions on proof of concepts that never connect to profits. Second, bad data. This is where hallucinations creep in. Feed AI vague or dirty data, and it spits out polished nonsense. IBM Watson for oncology recommended unsafe treatments because it was trained on synthetic data. Amazon's recruiting AI started discriminating against women. Once trust is broken, adoption dies. Third, change management gaps. Even when the tech works, employees resist. Harvard Business Review found AI boosts output, but makes workers feel bored and disengaged. And a recent report shows 52% of employees are more concerned than excited about AI, up from 37% just a few years ago. If you don't train and integrate properly, tools gather dust. Fourth, governance drag. Every pilot reinvents the wheel on compliance. Deloitte found 76% of firms need over a year just to resolve ROI blockers, and 30 to 50% of project time is wasted duplicating guardrails. By the time the pilot scales, the market has already moved on. We've seen the wins, but if you want proof that hype without execution burns money, look no further than the cautionary tales. First, Zillow. They bet their real estate arm, Zillow Offers, on AI-powered pricing algorithms. The result? A $569 million loss in 2021, forcing them to shut the program and lay off 25% of their workforce. Bad data plus overconfidence is a recipe for disaster. Second, IBM Watson for oncology. Once hyped as the future of cancer care, Watson recommended unsafe and inaccurate treatments because it was trained on synthetic data. Hospitals lost trust, patients were at risk, and the product was quietly shut down. A painful lesson: hallucinations aren't just annoying, they can be dangerous. Third, Amazon's recruiting AI. The company built a tool to automate resume screening by training it on 10 years of historical hiring data. The problem was that the model learned from a male-dominated workforce and began to systematically discriminate against women. It penalized resumes that included the word women and downgraded graduates from all women's colleges. The tool was ultimately scrapped because engineers could not eliminate the bias, showing how AI can amplify existing discrimination if not carefully managed. This wasn't just a PR hit. It showed how unchecked AI can embed discrimination into core business processes. Finally, Salesforce. Even one of the most tech-forward companies admits the problem. Their own studies reveal that 60% of AI pilots fail to deliver ROI. If Salesforce struggles, it shows how widespread the challenge really is. These stories prove the point. AI isn't magic. Without discipline, governance, and grounding, it doesn't just fail quietly, it fails expensively. So how do you avoid becoming the next failed pilot statistic? Here's the 5-point blueprint, and this applies whether you're a 50-person startup or a Fortune 500. Don't start with "let's test AI." Start with a pain point that already costs you money. If you're a small e-commerce shop, Target reduce customer support email backlog by 25% in 90 days. If you're a mid-sized manufacturer, cut order processing errors by 30%, saving $500,000 annually. If you're an enterprise, reduce contract review cycle time by 20%, saving 3,000 legal hours a year. Without a number attached, you're just experimenting. With a number, you're investing. Ground AI in your own data. AI doesn't magically know your business, it only knows what you feed it. If you let it run on the open internet, it'll make things up. But if you connect it to your documents, it becomes accurate and useful. Imagine a small business. Load in your FAQs and proposals, and it can answer client emails correctly. In a hospital, plug in actual treatment protocols so it gives safe advice, not random guesses. In a bank, link it to your compliance manuals so regulators stay happy. The rule is simple. If the AI doesn't know your truth, it can't give you trustworthy answers. Human-in-the-loop workflow. Think of AI like self-checkout. It speeds up the routine, but you still need people for exceptions. In a small retailer, AI drafts product descriptions, but staff approves before publishing. In logistics, AI generates delivery routes. Drivers confirm feasibility. In legal, AI reviews non-disclosure agreements. Lawyers validate edge cases. This balance builds trust, prevents errors, and ensures adoption actually sticks. Prompt engineering as discipline. Prompts are just instructions, but if they aren't standardized, you'll get chaos. A startup. Write one house-style prompt for all LinkedIn posts to keep brand voice consistent. A call center. Document prompts for refunds versus cancellations so agents don't wing it. A global enterprise. Version control prompts like code, A/B test them, and roll out only the ones that hit KPIs. Teams that treat prompts as assets see ROI multiply. Scale patterns, not pilots. Stop spinning up 20 disconnected experiments. Create one internal AI workspace with guardrails, cost controls, and pre-approved prompts. A small business, one shared Google Drive and chatbot trained on it for the whole team. A mid-size manufacturer, one AI platform connected to ERP and quality systems. A multinational, one governance layer so every team uses the same standards for compliance and data security. This is how you go from hype to repeatable value. And here's the kicker. If you do these 5 things, your AI projects stop being pilots. They become profit engines. So, let's close the loop. Is the AI market in a bubble? Yes and no. It is a speculative financial bubble, with valuations driven by hype and future promises rather than current profitability. And the high failure rate of corporate pilots is the undeniable proof. But, and this is the crucial difference, it is not a technological bubble. The technology works. The productivity gains are real and measurable on a micro level. This isn't a mirage. It's a genuine revolution in its messy, difficult infancy. The problem is that the market's expectations have outpaced the slow, expensive process of corporate change. The winners won't be the companies that promise to replace humans, but those that strategically and realistically integrate AI as a powerful co-pilot. This is not about a quick subscription to a tool, it's about a strategic rewiring of the entire organization. What has your own journey with Gen AI been like? If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with someone who should watch this.